Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I wanted to do a bit of a follow-up video to a video that I uploaded about 2 months ago where I talked about the 10 most popular books on my TBR bookshelf. Today I want to talk about my 10 least popular books, so the books that have the least number of ratings on Goodreads. Therefore, you're probably not going to know these books as well as the ones that you saw in my most popular books video, but this is a really good way to talk about books that you don't usually get to, that don't get a lot of video time on YouTube or necessarily a lot of reviews online. I'll be counting down from 10 to 1, so 10 has the most number of ratings of my least popular books, and number 1 will have the least of all of the books on my TBR bookshelf. Number 10 on the list with 437 ratings on Goodreads is Beyond Belfast, a 560-mile walk across Northern Ireland on sore feet by Will Ferguson. So this is a nonfiction book, and this guy Will decides to hike the Ulster Way in Northern Ireland. He is from Canada, I believe, but he has some familial ties to Northern Ireland, so he's using that time to discover the country and also learn a bit more about his family's history. Number 9 with 396 ratings is Hidden Cities, Travels to the Secret Corners of the World's Greatest Metropolises by Moses Gates. Another nonfiction book for you. This guy is really into exploring abandoned places, which is something that I find cool, though I don't think I would ever do it myself. I'm too much of a stickler for following the rules. Les actually gave me this one for my birthday after she heard some good things about it, so I'm interested to check it out for myself. Number 8 with 291 ratings is The 40s, The Story of a Decade. This is a bind-up, so to say, by The New Yorker. So there's the very famous article entitled Hiroshima, along with different bits on famous people from that time, Eleanor Roosevelt, Walt Disney, and then poetry, just a wide variety of things, different more news-related articles as well. And there are a few of these for different decades. I know there's a 50s and a 60s. I personally wanted to start with the 1940s because World War II adds a whole other layer to this. And I have not tried to conquer this yet. It's one of those things where you could definitely read a section, put it down, come back to it because everything is very separate. But yeah, it's a chunky book, but it's gonna have a lot of good stuff in it, I think. Number 7 with 251 ratings is the Condé Nast Traveler, Book of Unforgettable Journeys, Great Writers on Great Places. So this is actually put together by Penguin, and there's a bunch of different authors that just wrote about traveling to different places. And I love myself a good travel book. I like to be able to read about other people's experiences, and it seems like this is more recent, as in people that are currently alive, or at least would have been alive around the time of the publication of this, but do not quote me on that. One of the names that I do recognize is Simon Winchester, and I know he's currently publishing books, but a lot of the other ones that I see on the cover I don't actually recognize, so it'll be interesting to read from a bunch of different writers' perspectives, and this seems to cover places all over the world, so very cool, something to read when I'm looking for a little bit of travel inspiration. Number 6 with 248 ratings is Untapped, The Scramble for Africa's Oil by John Gazvinian. John traveled to 12 different African nations and spoke to people from a variety of backgrounds about how the scramble for Africa's oil affected their lives and their community. This was published in 2007, so it's pretty recent. Obviously, any of the history before then will still stand. As far as anything that is described as current in the book, it might not necessarily hold up, but I feel like this will give me a lot of good background on what happened to the continent of Africa, because it's definitely a very large place that I don't know that much about. This will just be a snippet in a very big story, but I do like educating myself, and this nonfiction book is someplace to start. Also, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but all of the books that I've talked about so far have been nonfiction. Looking at what I have left here, there's literally only one book that is a fiction book. Everything else is nonfiction. So obviously I delve into the more unknown nonfiction. Number 5 with 156 ratings is We Are as Gods, Back to the Land in the 1970s on the Quest for a New America by Kate DeLawes. I feel like this book comes up in a lot of videos, at least a lot of videos that I've been doing lately, partially because I really want to read this book this year, so it keeps getting mentioned. This one is about a group of people that during the Vietnam War decide to reject society as we know it, and they create this community in Vermont of people that are living off the land. So yeah, kind of hippies, basically. And I believe the author's parents were part of that community, so that's what influenced her to write this. So yes, it is a nonfiction book, but it's close to home since Vermont is where I'm from, and it's cool to learn about all these little quirky things that my state has in its history. Number 4 with 155 ratings is A Historical Tour of Walt Disney World by Andrew Kist. So this is a book that is actually 2 volumes that have been combined into one, and it's pretty much exactly what it says. It looks at the different rides and attractions at Walt Disney World, not only the idea of why Walt put them there, but their historical and cultural significance. So something like the Jungle Cruise or Pirates of the Caribbean, what happened in the past that might have influenced Disney and his Imagineers to decide to put these rides and attractions into the park. I did read the first few pages of this a while ago, and it actually was pretty dense, so I put it down at the time because it was during a readathon and it just wasn't the right kind of book for a readathon, but I would definitely like to pick this up at some point in the near future and give it another go. Number 3 with 91 ratings is Love Him Not by Tara K. Reid. This is a book that I accepted from a very small publishing company, and it's one of those choose your own adventure books. I have read those as a kid, and then I had an adult version of the book called Pretty Little Mistakes, which I loved, and Les and I actually used that book a lot, where we would choose the different paths and see where we ended up. This is in the same vein, except you are following this one woman and her relationship with this guy, and there can be vastly different outcomes from you meet at a bar and that's it, you never see each other again, to getting married, having kids, living happily ever after, and everything in between. So I've done one iteration of this, but it was not enough, I think, to give the book a fair review, so I still have it on my TBR. It's one of those very unique books. It's kind of like something that you need to do with a bunch of friends, and that just hasn't happened yet, so it's still sitting here waiting to be read, in a way. Number 2 on my list with 33 ratings is Hope, Adventures of a Diamond by Marian Fowler. This is a book that I have had on my TBR for years. I remember picking it up. It was on sale at Barnes & Noble many years ago, and there's been multiple times where I've almost read this book and just never picked it up, but this is once again nonfiction, and it is very obviously about the Hope Diamond, which has a very interesting and sort of mysterious history. So something that is very intriguing, I just have never actually gotten around to picking it up. And apparently neither have many other people. And then finally, my least rated book of all of the books that I have on my TBR, with only 13, is Protest, Stories of Resistance. It's edited by Raw Page, and it features a bunch of different authors. So this is a chunky book that I actually requested from the publisher. It is about a bunch of different demonstrations that happened in the UK over the years, like over many years, back to like the early days of like 1381 all the way up to the Iraq War demonstration in 2003. So there's fictionalized versions of what might have happened way back in the day, followed up by either something written by a historian or somebody who knows a lot about that time, or their actual eyewitness accounts of what it was like to be there, which I think is very cool. I'm obviously not from the UK, so some of these, probably actually most of these, I won't know anything about, but once again, I like learning. So I just thought this was a really cool concept, and so I was very happy that the publisher, which is Comma Press, I believe, sent it to me. So thanks to them for doing that. And those are the 10 least popular books on my TBR. It was once again very cool to put this video together and take a look at what a lot of people haven't read that I have on my bookshelves. Some of these I'll probably get to pretty soon, so that list of 10 is gonna change, which is always fun. It's something you can come back to in a year or two and see how much it's changed. If you guys have done a version of this video with the least popular or most popular, feel free to let me know down in the comments, or if you're one of those people that has read some of these books, let me know what you thought of them down below. As always, all of our links are in the doobly-doo. You can go check those out if you feel so inclined. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you later.